Hey, it's Yoshimitsu from the Disney Infinity subreddit and DisneyInfinityCodes.com, and in this video I'm going to show you another thing you can do with the logic gate, which is use it as a pass-through for a signal. I kind of covered this in the previous video, but I didn't highlight it specifically, so in this video I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. And so for example, let's say I've got this action button wired to a counter, and whenever I press it, it increments the counter. So what if I want this counter to be able to respond to not just an action button, but a trigger or a power switch or whatever you can think of to increment this counter? Well, the one way you could do it is to wire every single one of those toys individually to the counter like this, or you can use a logic gate as a pass-through and connect them all to the logic gate. So I will firstly set up my logic gate, and I want on output, which responds to any generic input signal like I mentioned previously, to increment by 1. So now I need something giving input to this logic gate. I'll start with the action button since I just happen to have it over there. And we'll go on pressed, do input, and now we'll see when I press this switch, the counter increments. So, like I was saying before, in this regime, if I wanted to then hook up a trigger, I would have to connect it separately. I would have to put a trigger here, connect it on, stepped on by player, increment by 1, and I'll still have to do that here, but now instead of connecting directly to the counter, I will connect to the logic gate. So I've got my trigger, and when stepped on by player Annie, we'll also send input. So now, every time I step on this, it'll increment as well. And this doesn't break this, obviously. And just to really hammer the point home, go ahead and do it with the power switch, but I think you get the idea at this point. And we'll do on input, and now we get even more incrementing. So you might be thinking, what's the point of this? Or hopefully you're not, but if you are, one reason you might want this intermediary is, what if you wanted to get rid of this later, but not this? It's gone, but now our setup still works. Also, like a lot of times when I'm working on a quick build, I may not know what I want the initial input source to be. I may want it to be a power switch, or I may want it to be a trigger area. Connecting to a logic gate first allows you, as I've just done twice, to simply add in a new input source and still have the setup work. It's not dependent on it must be that trigger or it must be this action button. All of these will successfully increment that counter or do whatever you want them to do at the other end of that logic gate without any additional hassle. So yeah, I've got a few more things coming, but that's usage number 2.